So I finally finished this container, and I made it from just a flat piece of corrugated sheet, and it's looking really nice because it's rusty inside. And today I got a engineer, or a blacksmith type engineer, to weld me these tops for it, and the bottom. Now the bottom is chunkier than the top, and that was deliberate, and the top is slightly thinner, and it looks really nice. There you go inside. Now what I'm going to do is, I've got another piece of this corrugated tin left, so I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller to slot in there, and it will sit at the bottom and allow drainage, just because of the shape of it. And I'm really happy with this, and it's just something so simple that you could make yourselves. It takes a little bit of effort, admittedly, but it's easy enough to do. I couldn't do the top or the bottom bit myself because I can't weld. And it's just simple angle iron that I've told them to use. So there you go. Really, really nice. I don't know what I'm putting it in it yet. I've got a choice. I'm either going to go with the Yucca Gloriosa, the Acer, or the smaller Sorbus Cashmeriana that I've got, and I don't know yet. I shall decide that at the weekend. Now, keeping you all up to date, I'm going to do another little walk around, because things really are growing fast now, as you know. Probably in your own gardens they're doing the same, but up in the UK, up on the Lincolnshire Wells in the UK, things are really growing. So that is finally getting to a thicker leaf. It's really filling out. And that's the Sambucus Black Tower. And even the little one's doing really well now. They're the little cuttings. That's one of the little cuttings I took, and it's looking really good. Malignans are looking great this year as well, I've noticed. They're doing really well. There's other bits and bobs coming. This Cirsium's looking great. That's the Cirsium Mount Etna. That's a little bit short in flowering. It flowers very nice, but doesn't last very long. But the clump itself is a real stunner. I'm quite impressed with that. The Phylloxerums, as expected, should be doing well at this time of year. They're setting little flowers at the top. I'll show you the little flower buds. There's your little flower buds at the top. And they're going to be quite a while before they actually open up. And this plant will grow to about 7 foot before they actually start opening up. And they'll have little purple, yellow, whitish little flowers on top. And this one's Phylloxerum ellens, so it's a sterile hybrid and won't set seed. So if you remember, I created all this section this year after finding these cow feeders. And I've got one more cow feeder that I need to work on. I don't know where I'm going to put that one, but I will put it somewhere in the garden. It won't go here. There's not really any space for it here. But everything that I've put inside it is doing really, really well. Everything's growing. I always have to remember that I've got to water these things, and I need to feed them as well, because they're just in ordinary type soil that I put in as the filler. I didn't put any compost in it. It's all soil, garden soil. But everything's doing really well. And the osters, don't forget, I moved the osters in here because I was sick of the slugs eating them. And the show of osters this year is beautiful. And that's just because I've pushed them into these pots. And I like to mix up the pots a bit, as you can see. They're looking really nice. I just love osters in pots. Now this one here, although it's got a damaged leaf, I just want to show you, that's what was happening in the garden, so I took it out. So I've several varieties, no point in going through them all. You probably won't remember them. But nevertheless, they are some nice ones. Now Astrantias, it's a Astrantia time again. Some are quite early and some are later. This one's a particularly early one. This is my own Muriel's gift. It's just a selection of Jill Richardson, by Jill Richardson herself, and given to me. So that's looking nice. Here's the Acer that I might put in the tin. And there's the Sorbus that I might put in the tin. I don't know, because I like it in Frankenbin there. It looks quite nice in Frankenbin, if you remember him. So I'm quite happy to leave it in that for now. So that's the Persicaria polymorpha, and I've been showing it quite regularly because I have to at this time of year show you it because it grows so quickly, and it's probably only half the size it's going to make this year. It's a really good Persicaria. It stays tight in the clump. The clump gets bigger year on year, but it's never going to be a problem. And the reason I put it into this is because I wanted it to make more of a feature of it. Remember, I had Eupatorium in there before, which has turned out to be glut ball. That one isn't it, obviously. It's only just coming up, the other one. Now, Aquilegias this year. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. This Aquilegia must be 3.5 foot. I've never had them that tall in this garden, ever. So that's about 3.5 foot. It's doing really well. And as we all know with Aquilegias, you've got to be very careful with them because they're definitely invasive. They set seed everywhere. I wouldn't call that invasive, really, as I keep pointing out. It's down to you to control them. Another Phylloxera doing well. That's a split. I got one originally and I split it into 2 other plants, and I was intending to do it again this year, but I didn't get round to it, which I'm not too bothered about. So here's the Eupatorium glut ball, just coming up now. Most Eupatoriums are only just starting the journey upwards. It's their turn to start growing. And we're still, what are we now? 3rd week in May. Things are doing okay. The garden's maturing lovely. This is looking really good. I'm really happy with this. And I can't wait to get the bricks in here and the tiles. But I'm just delaying a little bit because I want to make sure that I do this job well. And if I start rushing, I don't think I'll be able to. So I'm just hanging on a little bit. Couple of nice hostas here. I think I've got the name of this one. Yeah, this one's called Buckshaw Blue. And it's really nice. Now, looking at this one, I don't think that is that's not another Buckshaw Blue, that's another type. And this is one where the label has gone, so I can't really say which one it is. Hakanakloas are starting to do well now. Now, this is only a baby one. This one's called Hakanakloa Samurai, and it has this longitudinal stripe. And this will become a 2-foot plant over time. And I'm expecting great things from that. Apparently it's taller than the normal Hakanakloa, but we shall see. It tends to grow more upright. But I don't know yet because it's still a baby. There's another one here. This is a Hakanakloa Aureola, this one's called. And it's as you can see, it's a golden striped one. Again, longitudinal. When I talk about longitudinal, I mean it goes up and down the leaf, as you can see, as opposed to a Miscanthus type, the Zebrinus, which would go cross-banded, which would go across it. But obviously this is a different plant altogether. Now again, through this little bit here, we've got some more Eupatoriums through there. Glut ball. I've split it into quite a few plants early on. And to be quite honest, this one is a little bit later, I do believe, than my own Skinny Mini, which I shall show you in a minute further up the garden. And this one seems to take a little bit longer to get going, but catches up nevertheless. And this is Epimedium, and I wish I'd kept the label of this one. I think it's Fronalheighton, this particular one. I'm hoping it is. So I've got 2 or 3 around. And Epimediums are quite good under dry shade. I mean, here it gets a bit of shade, but not too much dry shade. But it's a really nice plant if you're looking for somewhere to go under trees. Yeah, so I really like this area. This euphorbia, it's black pearl. I had to cut all the flowers off it. Remember, I moved it when I really shouldn't have moved it at that time, but I did because I'm prepared to take the risk. And it's doing all right now. It'll come back over time. This is Echinacea, and it's the Bressingham hybrids, and the slugs are having a heyday with this. I'm going to have to deal with that. I think I'm going to have to reach for the slug pellets, I'm afraid. I just can't. I can't tolerate them eating it anymore. So it's time to sort that. Another euphorbia. The euphorbia is looking great. Look at that. It's beautiful. That's just a selected seedling, but it's turned out to be rather a good one. I just wish it had been like the other one further up the garden, which I selected at the same time, because the other one's a bit bluer than this one in the leaf, and it's a really nice blue, but this one's more green, but the shape's better on this one. That's Cretaceous, the, what's that, reddy coloured one, is supposed to be Paul Scarlet. I'm still not 100% sure if it is. It's not looking bad at the minute, actually. It's only just starting to open its flowers, and you can see the normal Cretaceous behind it. That's just the ordinary one. That's the hedging one. This Cretaceous here is a tree, and it's a very nice small tree, actually. Sorbus Olympic Flame that I harped on about is looking stunning. It's just looking so good. This is definitely a good one. So if you're looking for a nice Sorbus, maybe try that one. It's a medium-sized, sort of columnar shape, a bit more egg-shaped, I guess, with that, but nevertheless columnar shape. And these little iron features are from a place called Lincolnshire Plant Sports, and it just really sets it off. It's really nice. So simple they are, but they have great effect. This is Calamagrostis acutiflora calforsta, and it's now really getting going, and it won't be too long before it sets all its flowers. As you can see in there, all these little bits here, these are all seed heads developing, and this year it's just looking stunning. It's going to be so good. In fact, this year I'm actually expecting that to make 6 or 7 foot in seed. It hasn't done up to now. It's got quite big, but it's never made that sort of size. But looking at the size of the leaf, I'm convinced that's what it's going to do. This is Allium Summer Drummer, and I've put it all over in here. And I think last year I said I was going to remove all of those because I wasn't quite happy with them. I wasn't happy with what was going on. I'm so pleased I didn't. I actually put more in because I thought, yeah, I think it might just work. Give it time. You've got, again, we're all impatient, and you've just got to give these things time to do what they want to do. And because this is its third season, its third year, when I'm talking seasons, I'm talking about a full year. So it's the third season in all of this bed, and now it's all starting to settle in nicely. And the alliums are not over competing. Don't forget, these alliums will be tall. They'll be taller than this yet. They're not there yet. These make 6 feet easily. And then they have the typical allium type heads, which are, believe it or not, tucked in there. They're going to look great. This is more the wild area, so I don't show it a lot because there's not really a lot for you to see. I keep that deliberately messy there because I keep it for wildlife. I like little creepy crawlies and all that sort of thing to go in there, and I like it. And this is what we call affectionately the orchard. Even though there's only 3 fruit trees, I guess it's still an orchard to some. So it's doing well. Got Elaeagnus Quicksilver here, and it really is quick. I guess that's how it gets its name, but it's just this beautiful colour. It can become quite a big shrub, and it can be quite sprawling, but I shall control that. I've been clipping that for the last year, and it's looking really good. I'm leaving it this year. I'm just going to let it get away now and let it do its thing for another year, and we'll look at that again next year, if not at the end of this year. But this border isn't really much at the moment, and I'm intending to make it bigger, but I'm just going to sit with it at the moment, see what happens. This is that Acer Capitacodium or something like that, I think it's called. It's called Aurea, and it's the one that I threw, believe it or not. It was on that pile there for the last 2 months. I just literally pulled it out of the ground because I thought it was dead. It looked dead. I checked some of it and it was dead on the bits I checked, but I obviously didn't check far enough down because this is what's happened. So I immediately grabbed hold of it once I realised it was still alive, and I planted it, and the leaves were only half that size, when I put it back in, but he's doing absolutely brilliantly. So a little bit of cruel to be kind in this case has paid dividends. It is a beauty. I was a bit concerned when I read the books on this one to say it got to about 45, 50 foot, and that's the native one, the normal one rather, the red one. This is actually rootstock, so it's not actually going to make that. It's unlikely to make above, I would say, 15, 20, 25 foot. I'd be happy with that. Now, this area in general looks really nice, and it does look good through the camera, but actually walking around it is even better. It's getting all that depth that I hoped for. And when I'm planting things up, this is what I'm looking for. I've got a good depth concept really on how things will work. And through the camera, they can tend to look a bit flat, but the 3 trees in front of you running alongside that path all look really good. So my spatial awareness is pretty good. And I guess most artists or most creative types, they do tend to have this kind of ability. We seem to be able to place things just in the right place. The lilac's doing all right now. It's been flowering. I must say, I can't smell it. It's too high up. I'm not bothered about that. The one thing I am happy for is that it looks like that now. It looks great. The hedge actually helps to set it off now, because it was part of the hedge originally. The last owner of the property actually used to cut it like the hedge, so it never ever flowered for them. And that's because you've got to cut once it's flowered, you cut the stems at that point, and then you're guaranteed flowers the next year. But you have to leave it looking a little bit rough. Now I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm just going to let it grow, see what happens over the next 3 or 4 years. It's looking really nice. So here's that Crataegus. It's a hawthorn, and it's supposed to be Paul Scarlet, but I'm not 100% convinced that that is Paul Scarlet. There is another one that looks very much the same and is often sold as it. And I've got a feeling that I ain't got Paul Scarlet. But still looks very nice. I'll live in hope that it is Paul Scarlet. Here's another one of the trees. This is Fagus sylvatica aurea. Looking great from in the house, that. Cloister pergola is looking good. Everything's growing away so quickly. It has been doing for quite some time, but it's all looking so healthy. This Rosa Gertrude Jekyll has set absolutely loads of flowers. Now, where are the ladybirds when you want them? Early on in the season, even in February, there was hundreds of ladybirds. Is that one? No. There was hundreds of ladybirds, but now we're getting greenfly starting to appear. But I think it's growing away so healthy, this plant, that it's not making any difference. The greenfly are not affecting it. Rosa Gertrude Jekyll, and it's a real good repeat flowerer with a scent as well. It's lovely, and I've got it going now. I'm probably a little bit lackluster with this one. That one really needed to be tied up a bit quicker than it has been, but not too late to sort that out. I'll do something with it. But it's looking really good, and you've just got to keep on top of it. It's got to keep coming out all the time and just checking it over. And if one section goes the way I don't want it to, I'll have no hesitation in clipping it away and getting rid of it. And this is the other side, so it's looking really good. Really nice. And the Cloister pergola in general looks really nice. Very happy with it. This Lamium ovala is probably the best I've seen it. It's starting to drop its flowers now, but it's so nice. And I found loads of seedlings up the garden of this one. Well, another Lamium further up the garden, that is. I was pleased to see that. Cornus Cusa China Girl. The flowers are looking really nice now. Look at them. Looking great. Look at this absolute mass of them this year. And I can't wait for that. I want it to be at least 3 times bigger than it is now, and 3 times taller. Because then I can really start to shape it and really make it look good. This GM's looking good. Totally tangerine, remember? Sterile. Never likely to set seed. Got Bryza media here. This is a grass, and it's, I should say, that'll be flowering in the next 3 weeks. It has nodding little seed heads. Really nice. Here's another hosta that I rescued. This one's called Aquiba Drinking Gourd, this one. And the slugs and snails are not supposed to like the rougher ones. And as you can see, this has got a rough look about it. And they're not supposed to like it, but don't believe all you read, because they've absolutely loved munching on that one. And this is Muhlenbergia demosa that I did a video on, saying don't just dismiss them because they're not all going to be dead. Now, it's coming back. Beautiful now. It's going to be a bit later this year. It is technically an evergreen, and it should look green all the year, but that frost that we had, or that hoarfrost that we had for quite some time, got into it. It's not dead, it's not killed it, but it did get into it. So it's looking really nice, and it's the one plant I have plenty of time to actually put away and look after. China Clover rubra. I love this one. If you've not got this one, try and search it out. It looks absolutely brilliant. This is a mature specimen now. I think it's about 7 years old now. And it just looks so nice. Absolutely beautiful. The Cirsium, that's Rivulare Atropurpureum. It's looking really nice. It's starting to send its flowers up. Typical of this one. Again, a sterile cultivar that shouldn't set seed. It's great. That's starting to really get away now. That's Jubilaris, that's Miscanthus giganteus. I believe it to be a giganteus type, Jubilaris. And that's looking really nice. This is Rheum australe, an invasive Chinese rhubarb. Not, you can't eat it, but it's what they call the Chinese rhubarb, but don't try and eat that one. It's not edible at all, but there's the flowers it's producing. So that's quite small, that, but it is very, very invasive once it gets established. So while we're on the subject of Chinese rhubarbs, we'll go straight from that one to this one. And this is another one, but this is Rheum palmatum, this particular one. And it's absolutely stunning. And there's the flowers. It's turned out to be the straight Rheum palmatum. It's not Atropurpureum, it's just the straight one. I love it. It's beautiful. And while we're here, we'll just have a look at the back of that. And there's my Eupatorium Skinny Mini. And as I said earlier with the other one, it's got a very dark stem. The one I showed you just a minute ago. But this one is far higher than that other one. But this is how Eupatoriums are. They can be very, very different. Each type, each cultivar has its own great attributes. I've been planting loads of different plants in this section just lately. Put some really nice ones in here. We're getting there with it now. Some of the newer cultivars have gone in, all to suit my grasses. And this should look really, really nice over time. Now this, I was telling you that this one was, which gym did I say this was? Tequila Sunrise. Well, it's not Tequila Sunrise. I've since discovered it's actually called Alabama Slammer. And that was given to me. And that looks stunning. She made a good choice there. Very nice, like it. That Sanguisaurva, this particular Sanguisaurva, is called Blackthorn, and it's probably one of the best in my opinion, apart from Lilac Squirrel, which is an Acusinensis type, but this one isn't. And this produces some really strong vertical flowers that go quite a way up. So it's really nice. Like it. So this border in general is looking really good. I'll not go up there today. I'll just stick down here because I don't feel like going up there. But it's all looking good. In this area, again, another Persica area. And then Elianthus augealis. And that's starting to really get into its stride as well. And Acer Trompenborg, it has the most wonderful coloured leaf. It's lovely, that. And this is doing exceptionally well this year. This is Hydrangea quercifolia, the oak-leaved hydrangea, and it's really getting its feet in now. I think I've got it in just the right section as well. Yeah, I've got quite a few new plants in here that are looking good. Still establishing. You know, there's still a long way to go with it at the moment, but it's getting there. Now, I got this Rodgersia the other day, and I wanted, well, I was going to get one called Bronze Peacock, and to me, it's a little bit too dark and a little bit too obvious, so I've got this one, which is called Irish Bronze, and it just, I think it has the edge on it. Apart from the colour, Irish Thingy Peacock is a Bronze Peacock's a lot deeper colour, but it also goes back to a green, but this just has this nice look about it at this time of year. Yeah, so there's a lot of plants to grow in here yet. They're still getting there. They're on the way up. It's getting there. It's looking beautiful. I'm very happy with it. The boardwalk looks good. I mean, there's a load of plants under there that I just leave to do what they need to do. It's just grasses and wild bits. Not too bothered about it. I don't get too precious nowadays. This Corylus is starting to come into leaf properly now. Finally getting into leaf. That looks wonderful. So it's early evening, and it's really a nice time to walk around your garden, especially when there isn't much wind about. Because often we can get some quite blowy winds up here, but it's really calm tonight. And it has been on my last 3 or 4 videos, actually. It doesn't seem to be as windy as it used to be. There's Muriel's gift again, and that is so dark, that flower. It is incredible. It's a good plant, so it is quite a good choice. This is looking good. I don't do too much in here because I don't need to. It seems to be doing well, and it is a later season border, so it's not away properly yet. There's another Eupatorium Skinny Mini of mine coming up now. And that always looks really good. That bamboo's going to look brilliant back there. It's really shooting up now. It's just where I wanted it. And there's another Eupatorium Skinny Mini. Now this just shows you in different parts of the garden it'll perform differently, and up here it seems to really like it. To say these things like more moisture, that is doing really well. That's about the biggest one I've got, and I'm quite surprised to see how tall it is because it's not really a lot of moisture up here. There's Sanguisorbor here called Lum. That's looking nice. Oh no, that's not Lum, sorry, the Lum's further down. I don't know which one this one is. The label's long gone. Everything's coming nice. The Miscanthus Lutaria riparius, look at that. It's huge, isn't it? It's getting there now. That's still only a third of the size it's gonna be. It's gonna be huge. It's looking good. This is what I try and create. Like that little face, well, big face, isn't it? I think that should have been a keystone, what they call a keystone. And I bought it cheap because it's a little bit damaged. And it just looks good. They just catch your attention as you're walking around. This Berberis is now in flower. I keep trimming it because I want to get it into a better shape. But the flowers are looking good now. There's the face. It just catches you now and again. You just don't realise it's there until you chance upon it. The bamboo, like I say, this is the year it leaps for me. This is its 3rd year, and away it goes. It's up in the air, doing just what I wanted and just what I hoped it would do. Fantastic, I love it. I think I've got some more space for bits and bobs in here. But I'm going to leave it for now because I want to see what grows. Or what grows well. There's a lot of stuff doing really well in there. I think I'm finally, because when you get a new garden, you tend to have to just live with it for a bit to see what does well. Things you think are going to do well sometimes don't do well, and then things you didn't expect to grow very well at all tend to surprise you by growing really well. One thing I'm happy to see, if they're still here and the pigeons haven't finished them off, because it does worry me, the pigeons. In fact, they may have finished. No, they haven't. Is this Brunnera? I've got 2 Brunneras in there. In fact, 3. There's a little baby one that may not come to anything, the tiniest one, but the other 2, they're looking really good. And the pigeons and the birds like to eat these. In fact, you can see that they're quite different, them 2, if you look at them in detail. Which do I think's the best? I like them both, actually. I've got 3 types of Brunnera in this garden, so it could be anything because they are promiscuous. So it's looking really good. I'm very happy with it. Just mentioned this Acer aconitifolium, looking really good. I'll probably make it 15 foot, hopefully, over time. Another Acer. This is Viper. David I. That's going to make quite a tall tree, and I've got to keep my eye on that one because I want to really prune it hard. Well, not prune it down hard, but keep the shape of it looking good because I want it to be more sprawly and upright. And it is doing that now. Wonderful. There's another Aconocloa. That's the plain old Macra. And it's getting away now. It's getting into its stride finally. And now the alliums are starting to come out. I think that could be Gladiator. Not 100% sure, but I think it might be. So there we go. I think that'll do for tonight. That's just a little wander around part of the garden to show you how quickly it's coming on. And it's still looking absolutely stunning. And I love it. Absolutely love it. That looks great. That's Rhodiola. And then that other euphorbia that I talk about quite often, Excalibur. Look at that. You can see why I love it so much. Look at those colours. It's just such a good statuesque plant. And I've got 3 of those now. I took them from a single cutting originally, and then I just split it into 3 as it got going. I really like that one. I think we'll end here. This is the elder again, the Sambucus Black Tower. Looking absolutely magnificent. The colour is amazing. It's about to flower now. Another 3 weeks, that'll be in full flower. A beauty. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that little tour around Grassy Bottom. And I'll get out pretty soon and do another one. And I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!